Trojan Sports Now.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Sports Now. I'm Danielle Percival.
And I'm Jonathan Sellers. Stick around as we bring you the latest news and scores from Troy Sports. While the weather may have felt more like the 2010 GMAC Bowl between Troy and Central Michigan, it was baseball that brought these two schools back together. The Trojans and Chippewas opened their season with some wet and cold weather, and Taylor Burke was there to catch the action.
The defending Sun Belt champions returned to the field for the first time this season, playing host to Central Michigan. In Game 1 on Friday night, All-American Tyler Ray was on the mound and remained as dominant as he was last season. The senior's 2-hit, 8-strikeout performance was enough to help lead Troy to the 7-3 win.
Couldn't ask for a better start this senior year. You know, we got a 7-3 win and got to go 6 innings in front of a big, great atmosphere, so it was a lot of fun.
When you got a guy like Tyler on the mound, you know you're always going to get a good outing out of him, so all you got to do is score a couple runs and you know it's going to work out.
Game 2 of the series started on Saturday and finished on Sunday because of heavy rain in the area. The day-long delay did not slow down right fielder Boone Shear, who accounted for a home run, 4 RBI, and 2 runs. The Trojans took the series from the Chippewas 12-10.
Swung the bat well, but that's how baseball is. You know, you get hot at times and you get cold at times. I had a few big opportunities. I was glad I could cash in on them, and the guys rallied around me and also swung the bat well, and that's how we put the runs up.
The big inning we had to kind of bust that game open until they came back and tied it up was all done with 2 outs, and you love to see your team scoring runs with 2 outs, and we did a nice job of that.
Central Michigan avoided the series sweep with Troy on Sunday by scoring early and often. CMU scored 6 runs in the first inning and never trailed in the game. The Chippewas' 14 runs on 18 hits gave them the Game 3 victory, 14-7.
Coming into Sunday with a 2-0 lead on them, we were hoping for the sweep, but got to tip your cap. They came out swinging the bats well, scored 6 in the first. Best bunting team I've seen in Division I baseball in quite some time, and so I give them a lot of credit. Good ball club.
Sunday's all about the offense, and they came out hot. They definitely have a good team, and we didn't swing the bat like we should have, and it came back and bit us.
Taylor Burke, Trojan Sports Now.
Troy's 37 strikeouts against the Chippewas was the most by any team playing in a 3-game series last weekend. That total included 16 in Game 2 of the series, just 1 strikeout shy of the single-game school record set in 1961 and again in 2003.
And Mother Nature also affected the schedule of the softball team, but as Courtney Addison shows us, gloom wasn't a forecast for doom.
Over the weekend, the Trojan softball team got their first home season action hosting a 6-team tournament. Friday night, Troy fell short to number 6 ranked Missouri 4-0. But Coach Melanie Davis says she's pleased with her team's performance.
Our kids were just a fraction of a second off from numerous hits because we had some line drives, we had a lot of ground outs, we were just missing the ball. And to only strike out 5 times when the pitcher's throwing upwards close to 70 miles per hour in the night air out here, I think they did a fabulous job.
Even though Missouri gave Troy their first loss of the season, the Trojans will be working hard to get a second chance at playing the Tigers again.
They wish they could play them again. That was their thoughts. And I challenged them, hey, let's go play them in regionals or super regionals somewhere down the line.
Troy finished with a late night Friday, and Saturday's games were pushed back due to rain, making an early Sunday morning doubleheader for the Trojans. Troy defeated Ball State University 7-4 in 9 innings and also defeated Eastern Kentucky University 5-4. Freshman J.C. Affledale got the start on the mound for Troy against EKU, striking out 9 in her 6 innings. Sarah Thomas picked up the game in the 7th inning to finish the game for the Trojans.
But she did a great job, and she threw so well, and it complimented Sarah Thomas coming in to get the relief. So she set the game up really well for Thomas to come in and close.
Despite the rain and nasty weather, Troy fans and players worked together to get the field ready to play ball.
We worked ourselves very hard this morning to get the field ready. Parents were down here helping. All the Troy administration was down here, the physical plant. We all got the field ready. The girls worked really hard. And then to come out and do what they need to do on the field, overall, I'm very pleased.
It's still early in the season for the Trojans, and Coach Davis tells us her goal for the rest of the season.
Our goal, number 1, is to not be shut out again this year.
Courtney Addison, Trojan Sports Now.
The Trojans were scheduled to be back in action on Wednesday, taking on Florida A&M, but that game was postponed due to the weather. That would have marked the Trojans' first non-tournament action of the season.
In the final game of Sartain Hall, there was no question the Trojans would win. The only question would be which Trojans, as Troy was taking on the Trojans of Arkansas Little Rock in the finale of their home court. Dustin Carroll has more on the game.
The finale in Sartain was all you could ask for in terms of a good game. After a solid first half, which saw the Trojans take a 29-24 lead while playing great defense, the Trojans of Arkansas Little Rock came storming back in the second half thanks to solid shooting from behind the arc, which led to overtime where Troy was outscored 18-6, which led to the 74-62 loss. Alan Jones, who led Troy with 17 points, says they played this game for the coaches.
For Coach Mason Flex, they've been involved with this program for over 30-something years, 40 years, and Ben, he played here, and all the guys that came back, and just, for Troy, this building has a lot of history, and so we wanted to go out with a bang, and unfortunately we didn't do that tonight.
Despite the 74-62 overtime loss, Mason said he was proud of his team's effort against a quality opponent.
Win the game. We played as hard, as emotional. I think the crowd had something to do with it. Being the last game, I think the kids didn't want to let this game not be a victory.
Masonry feels he will not reflect on his memories of Sartain until later on.
My emotional moment will come later again, it's all about memories and relationships. And I don't think that stuff ever leaves you. I go back to New Orleans sometime and go by my high school and by the gym. And, I'll have time to look back of all the years that we're here, but we had so many moments.
Senior guard Stephen Cunningham says that the loss is frustrating because of how hard the team fought throughout the game.
Open boys, whenever they're open, you make contested shots and force them to make tough shots. And in the first half, we was forcing them to make tough shots, and they weren't making the tough shots. And I felt like the second half we was putting in the same amount of effort. It's just that, around the end of the game, they started getting they got a couple rebounds at the end that was in the clutch, gave them second chance opportunities, and little small things like that, turnovers, which led to them getting easy shots, fast breaks. And then,
Dustin Carroll, Trojan Sports Now.
For the second game in a row, the Trojans played into overtime, but this time the result went their way as Troy picked up a much-needed 75-70 win over FIU Thursday night. It was a game of keeping up with the Joneses as Troy's Emil Jones and Alan Jones led the way in scoring. Emil with 17, Allen with 15. The Trojans also got help off the bench with 25 points compared to the Panthers' 9.
The women's basketball team struggled to defend their home court for Sartain's farewell, falling to Arkansas Little Rock by 19. Offense was a problem as 40 points was all Troy could muster, while Little Rock took advantage of their opportunities with 59 points. Saturday was a night of farewells as the Trojans bid goodbye to the venue as well as 5 seniors. In her 100th career game, senior Tania Manuel led the team with 5 rebounds and tied as the leading scorer. And on Thursday afternoon, the Trojans also faced Florida International, but they didn't have as much success as the men. Troy fell to the Golden Panthers 74-52. One player did see some individual success as Eva Naj posted a career-high 23 points, which was the most points scored by a team member this season. The Trojans only managed 18 points in the first half, but nearly doubled that in the second half with 34.
Weather played a factor in more Trojan sports as home matchups on the tennis court against Alabama State and Jacksonville State were called off on Saturday. But the men did return to action Tuesday in Birmingham. Troy fell to UAB 6-1. The Trojans' lone point came in the 1-seed singles match where Anas Ruchti defeated Danny Manlow 4-6, 6-4, and 1-0. Troy dropped to 1-5 while the Blazers improved to 6-2.
To the casual football fan, it's the off-season. But to the avid football fan, and I'm sure there are plenty of those watching, there is no off-season. Recruiting is over and the snap of chin straps can only mean one thing. Trojan football is getting ready to break the huddle for spring ball. The team's spring practice schedule was released this week and the team gets started in just a few weeks. Spring camp will open on March 18th and the annual T-Day game is scheduled for March 31st at 2 p.m. and I can already tell you where I'll be that day. The Trojans will practice 13 times during the spring and have 3 scrimmages on the schedule.
Still to come on Trojan Sports Now. All the action will be on the road this weekend, but there is plenty of it going on. See who all is playing coming up.
But first, we'll take a look back at an interview with the man in charge when it comes to Trojan athletics. Stick around for more Trojan Sports Now.
Trojan Sports Now.